Is it Allah? Is it Jehovah? Is it Elohim? Is it Olodumare? Is it Amen Ra? Is it Chukwu? Whatever you want to call God is fine with me. We spend too much time debating the irrelevancies of black reality.
Peace, family. It's the man with the plan, Daniel Shane, here with POC Undivided, and today marks the Black Economics 102 trade game. So, trade game, man. Let's talk about it. Now, I decided to do this, and I decided to make it a part of the Black Economics series because trades is actually very important. Trades is a big thing that a lot of us overlook in society today. Traditionally, a lot of us are taught to go to school for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. We want to get bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctorate degrees, these sorts of things. And there's nothing per se wrong with any of those things. But the fact of the matter is most of those degrees are not practical. You can't go anywhere and use them. Okay. If you transferred to another country, the fact that you have a accounting degree or you studied law in the United States, that wouldn't really mean anything in another country. All right, so by having a trade, it's something that's practical. It's something that you can take anywhere and be good with. Okay, so in this particular episode of Black Economics 102, what I'm going to talk about is the importance of getting your trade game together. Okay, the trade game. Okay, so let me go ahead and start by going into my first point. Okay, and my first point on this particular topic is trades are recession proof. All right, so a lot of us remember back in 2004, the early 2000s, where the recession hit and a lot of people lost their jobs because a lot of companies couldn't afford to keep them, or a lot of companies were just cutting back on jobs altogether, and they just, or maybe even their job became obsolete, and people didn't need that particular job at that point because maybe there was something that was introduced to the game that just made their job obsolete. Okay, so a lot of people ended up losing their jobs, and as a result, they lost their houses, they lost their cars, they lost a lot of everything. Okay, now what if I told you that by having a trade, you would ensure that would never happen to you? Because no matter what happens in society today, people are always going to be in demand of your trade. Okay, and what is a trade? Okay, a trade is a skill. Okay, so what's a skill? Okay, a skill is building houses. A skill is doing plumbing. A skill is putting electricity in people's houses. A skill is manufacturing. A skill is production. Is what a skill is. Okay, we're always going to need producers. We're always going to need people that are familiar with production. Sure, we're going to come up with technology to make production easier to do, but at the end of the day, we're still going to need producers. Okay, so a trade is recession proof. Okay, we need to get into these career paths that'll enable us to have recession-proof careers. I mean, let's just keep it real. Okay, what if all the white people said, they got together, they had a little meeting, they said, you know what, black people, you guys win. You win. You're right. Black lives do matter. We're going to give you guys reparations, and we're going to send you guys back to Africa. Okay, you had to go to Africa because, we tired of your ass. Okay, we got to go back to Africa, and we all went back to Africa. Okay, we would all be in trouble because we would have a lot of money, but no way to build, no way to produce. We would have to outsource all the money that we were given. Okay, that means give the money right back to the white supremacists that gave us the money for reparations in the first place. How would that work? How would that be beneficial to us? It wouldn't. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're adopting these skills into our everyday lives. And it doesn't take an entire lifestyle change. It really doesn't. Okay, it takes a night, a week of you immersing yourself in a skill to learn it, to be proficient at it. So if the time ever came, you could make money doing that. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the first goal. It's recession proof. And I know I kind of went off on a tangent. Y'all got to excuse me for that. I did. But that's the first thing. It is recession proof. Okay. So the second thing is trades can serve as supplemental income. So just like I mentioned a little bit earlier, a trade is something that you can do full time, of course. but it's also something you can do part-time, okay? There's nothing wrong with you working your 40-hour-a-week job, or you working your business, or you working your other hustles and doing your trade whenever you feel like it, okay? Because like I said, you can go anywhere at any time, and people will always be in need of someone who's familiar with that particular skill, okay? Electrician, carpentry, these things, okay? So you can do it as a supplementary source of income, okay? It's something that would come very easily to you, okay? You make money, you make $150 here, $150 there doing this, $150 there doing this. I mean, this helps, because of course you can take this money and invest it as you see fit. I mean, the name of the game is about investing, okay? So you need capital to invest. One way to generate capital is by growing supplemental income. And if you don't know what supplemental income is, go to my last video. I did a whole video about supplemental income. So your trade or a trade can serve as a supplemental income source to you going forward. You know what I mean? So that's another reason you want to adopt that into your everyday life, okay? Now, my third and final reason, to me, is probably the most important reason of all why you want to get a trade, okay? And the third and final reason you want to get a trade is a trade is business. Trade is business. All right, now, what do I mean by that, okay? Now, what I mean by that is a lot of us go to school and we get these degrees, and it's just like what I was talking about earlier. We get these degrees in business and law and all these different degrees that are cool. I'm not saying anything's wrong with them. They're cool. But the problem is that it relies on someone hiring you for work, okay? Someone has to want to employ you to a management position. If you were a business major, okay, they have to feel inclined to hire you to fill that position. Now, what if they're not so inclined to hire you to fill that position? Okay. Now, with that in mind, also keep in mind, we live in a system of white supremacy, a system that's highly discriminatory toward people of color. So me making those two statements together should give you the impression that you might want to have your things in order when it comes to businesses for yourself, okay? And one thing about a trade being a business is we always think that when we're creating a business, it has to be some far out there revolutionary idea. It doesn't have to be anything new. It doesn't have to be anything super, okay? A good business can be a good carpentry business, a good flooring business, a good tile business, a good whatever business. All right, that's a good business. You could make good money doing that. Okay, and you can employ you can employ your community. You can employ management. You can employ customer service reps. You can employ different people to fill different positions at your company. Okay, so a trade is a business. You can make a living from a trade as a business. And this sounds like it's common sense. I know, but we don't think about it. I assure you, we don't. A lot of us don't. We don't think about the fact that you can go get a trade and then go into business for yourself with that trade and make good money with that business. We don't think about these things. But I assure you it's a very strong possibility. So, these are things that we really need to consider more often before we make that transition to our college career, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Before I went to college, I wish I would have got a trade. I wish I would have went to some technical school or something and paid money and learned a skilled trade like that before I went to college. You know what I mean? Because I would have been making money, and I probably could have paid my way through college as opposed to taking out loans and now being in debt from school loans and those sorts of things. So these skilled trades are something that we really need to be more cognizant of and look into more of. And even for those of us who are professional who do have regular jobs, you can go to school 1 or 2 nights a week to learn you a trade, okay? To get you a skill in carpentry and these sorts of things. And I'm going to do another video on how that works, as far as what you need to do in order to be involved in those kind of programs and that sort of thing. But just know that you can, and for those of you who are interested now, look into it further, man. It's very important. Okay. So with that being said, that pretty much wraps up the video. If you have any thoughts, hit it up in the comment section below. If you liked anything that was in the video, please feel free to subscribe, like the video, share the video. Go to our Facebook page, POC Undivided on Facebook, POC Divided at gmail.com, and King Shane 7 on Twitter. We are also on More Us. For those of you that have More Us, POC Undivided on More Us. All right, and shout out to the More Us people, by the way. But with all that being said, I will holler at you guys later. Peace.